Everybody, Jacob Godar here today, talking to you about the difference from being a lawn and landscape business owner to being an employee. What is the difference there? What are the biggest things? How is your company either blurring that line to make it more like a business owner as an employee, or maybe how's it differing those lines? So one of the number one things that sticks out to me when we talk about an employee versus an owner. I just met a business owner today that's looking for potentially coming on to join us and stop doing his own thing because he wants something more consistent. And that's the first point that I'm going to make. When you work for someone, typically you're going to have a guaranteed hourly rate. Now, as a business owner, you have no idea. Depending on how much experience you have running a business, say you're trying to go out on business and run a business on your own. And I would push my employees, if they want to do that, I'll help you do that. But you need to know your numbers because it's so easy to go out, get a bunch of stuff sold and do it, and then not actually make any money, not make the money to expand the company, not make the money to grow. It's really easy to see that this company does 100,000, this company does 500,000, this company does 1,000,000, and think that all of that money goes straight to the owner's pocket. But the fact of the matter is that is just not true. So it is so much different between being an employer and an employee in that situation, because one, you're gonna have a guaranteed hourly rate that you get for being there, whether you are doing well or you're not doing well. And when you're the owner, there's a lot of variations. Like, you don't get, if it rains all day and nobody can get anything done, you're not producing anything, so there is nothing going to you. There's a lot of times you're gonna be spinning your wheels and you're gonna do a lot of stuff for free. You're gonna do so much more stuff for free, and or you're gonna pay a very high expense of learning, which is, usually what problems and challenges and issues and or failures are in business. They're high cost training for you, or high cost education for you. That's how you have to look at those things too. The second thing, for being a business owner, management of the business is so much more intensive. People go out. Read The E-Myth, it's a great book. People go out and have an entrepreneurial or a technician seizure, I think is what Michael Gerber calls it. And when you go out and you think, oh my God, I'm really good at mowing the lawns. I'm really good at doing the landscapes. I should be able to go out and start a business. Well, the fact of the matter is you might be great at it, but there is going to be a large learning curve. There's going to be a million times more management than you ever thought on running a business. Even if you already know something about running a business, even if you're a little versed in that, there's so many little pieces that you're going to learn along the way. And a lot of times we're going to learn by hard knocks, unless you're, like for us, like that's what GrowCom's all about. I want to try to keep you from getting beat up if you're trying to go to owning that business and having as many hard knocks as I've had, and hopefully help you go a little bit faster. Because starting a business is like taking off a plane. And imagine that there's a mountain right here and the plane is taking off. And if the plane does not take off and rise fast enough, it can hit the mountain and everybody dies. Business is unfortunately kind of like that. If you don't get it to peel up and take off fast enough and create enough sales and volume fast enough to cover expenses and the things that you're trying to do, it can crash and it can burn. So this is a very, very big difference between being an employee and being an employer. Because when you're the employer, you're structuring and you're taking all the risk and you're taking all the management. You're making sure everything is working right. And when you're an employee, you don't have to worry about those things. The things are easier for you because you're just managing your one individual thing. You're not managing the whole, whether it's falling apart, the risks that come with it, okay? That's big. Now, the third thing between employee and employer, upside can be wildly different between being employed and being an employer. And this is just fact of the matter. If you're going to take all the risk, if you're going to do all the things to build a company, there is a chance that if you succeed, you're going to make a really, really good living. You're going to generate wealth, and you're going to create a lot of different things for you and your family. My thought is, though, if you're going to truly be successful, you're going to realize along the way, and this is where I said we might muddy the lines between employee and employer. You're going to realize that it becomes more and more and more about your team being successful and more about them kicking ass if you truly want to be really, really successful. So you start muddying the lines. You start figuring out ways to make employees more of entrepreneurs and give them more opportunities so they have more varying upside, just like a business owner might. And that's never heard a truer statement. You can't truly be a baller unless you got ballers on your team. And that sounds funny, and I still laugh at that every time I think that up in my head. But This is why it can vary so widely. So one company, upside, they might not be profitable, they might not know their numbers, they might go in just thinking doing the work is going to get them there, and so they might not make any money. Another company can read, educate, do a bunch of stuff to make sure they're profitable and they're going to grow, and they can have a bunch of upside there. And typically those two companies, you're going to want to work for someone that is growing and educating and training and learning and investing in themselves, because that person that's learned a lot realizes that they're going to have to, well, for one, they're going to make a lot more money. And if they make a lot more money, they're going to realize the importance of investing in their team. So there's a big skew, that person that makes a lot of money in the company, unless they're just totally greedy, typically they're going to pay their people really, really well. And on the vice versa side, a guy that doesn't really know how to run his company is going to struggle to pay anyone because he or she doesn't even have enough money to pay themselves. So there's a big skew here where the upside just is wildly varying between even being the owner and even being the employee. And I like to think of our company as a company that creates incentives, creates things to try to do everything we can do to get our employees to make more money. Because having a goal of getting as many six-figure employees as I can potentially have in my company, making people wealthy, showing people, helping people learn more about their finances to raise up others around me, that's become everything in my company. And I truly wish for you, if you scale your company, it becomes everything to you as well. So leave it in the comments below if these differences made sense. And maybe you love the idea of having the standard, like an hourly pay where there's some real structure there, and then maybe some incentives that make that role really, really sweet. Or maybe you love the idea of being a risk taker and risking everything and potentially losing everything or gaining everything by being an entrepreneur and a business owner. I would love to hear it in the comments below. Leave that down there. I'll talk to you soon.